Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to our first ever info session specifically on fundraising for the Summer Institute. My name is Rachel. I'm the manager of communications and development for Engineering World Health. I'm joined today by a couple of my colleagues. We've got Tujen Rahal here, who's the CEO of EWH. Hi, Tujen, and Susan Hyman, who is our director of international programs. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and I will let Susan take it away and talk a little bit about the programs in general and tuition as a basis for our conversation. But just so you all know, this info session day is about fundraising, so we're working under the assumption that you know a little bit about the Summer Institute programs and have read about them on our website, have maybe already applied, or at least are thinking about applying. So if you have questions about the program in general, of course, feel free to ask, but there is a recording of the regular info session, which is more general information about the programs on our website if you go under news and events. This session, like I said, is a little bit more tailored to fundraising, hopefully giving you some tips and resources to help cover the cost of participation. So Susan's going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the program tuition.
Wonderful. So thank you, Rachel. Yeah, as Rachel said, hopefully you all know a lot at this point about the Summer Institutes and hopefully are very interested in applying if you haven't already started your application. So getting into the tuition. Tuition for both programs is $8,500. It's important to remember that it's not 100% all-inclusive, but it is quite comprehensive. So we do have some points up there on our slide that includes main things like accommodation, some meals, all of your technical coursework and training, language lessons, culture excursion, lots of good stuff that's included in that tuition. So we really do work to try to make it quite comprehensive, so you really do get the most bang for your buck as possible. A couple of items that it doesn't include is flights, visa fees, your extra souvenirs, sightseeing, things like that. So costs like that, fortunately, they can be very minimal. It just kind of depends on the experience that you want in your program country. A lot of our students do like to go on weekend trips, weekend excursions, and really take advantage of traveling when they're there, which is wonderful. But you also could have a really great and immersive experience, just staying kind of with your homestay family, staying local in your hospital placement area, and with your fellow students too. So the out-of-pocket costs are going to vary a little bit based on your preferences and what you want to get out of the trip. I will say that it is important that you download the application packet. You can find in your appendices of the application packet, there's a complete list of what's included and what's not included in each program's tuition. And I also will note that it does vary slightly between programs. So while tuition is the same for both programs, what's included and what's not included is slightly different. So that would be another important thing to take a look at when you download the application packet and read through those appendices.
So a little bit about tuition. The good news is that very few, if any, students pay the full tuition price to participate in the Summer Institutes. So we do a lot of fundraising to be able to provide as much financial aid as possible to cover as much of the cost as possible. So financial aid is applied for within the Summer Institute application, so it's not very much more work at all. It's need-based. And applying by the priority deadline ensures that you'll be considered for the amount of financial aid that you actually need. But even if you miss this deadline, it's best to apply really as soon as possible for financial aid, because it is first come, first served. But we will also say most participants, if you apply for financial aid, you will get some amount of financial aid. Last year, 98% of the participants received financial aid, and the average award was $2,500. So definitely keep in mind that the EWH financial aid is going to be a good resource for you. We also have some additional resources for groups underrepresented in STEM. So one that I wanted to mention quickly here today is the Pearl Pledge. We have recently received, we're really happy to say, funding specifically for scholarships for Black women in STEM. So if you identify as a Black woman in STEM, submit the application and you can be eligible for some of this funding. So if you're undergraduate, graduate student, young professional, partial to full scholarships are available. So just one more option that I wanted to highlight from EWH before we get into fundraising is this option for low interest loans. So again, thanks to the generosity of one of our longtime partners, we're able to offer really low interest loans for up to $2,500 for Summer Institute participants. The loans have a rate of 2.5% annually, and the repayment period is 3 years. So if you're interested in accepting the loan offer, just reach out to us at summerinstitute@ewh.org, and we'll be happy to give you more information, walk you through the process. And that email address, of course, if you have any questions about the programs or financial aid, you can reach us there, and we'll be happy to help. So raising money. So I'm going to talk a little bit about fundraising in general, hopefully give you some motivation, some encouragement, and some kind of tips and resources, and to get you in the mindset to hopefully go out there and lay the groundwork to raise the money to support your Summer Institute experience in a bunch of different ways, which will probably look different for everyone. And then we'll pass it along to Justine, who's joining us today, who's an alumni of our 2019 program in Rwanda, who's going to walk through her experience and how she fundraised to cover all of her costs to support her participation in the program. So first, I'm just going to go through a few slides about fundraising in general that I hope will help. So a few things here to start off. Raising money, one, I know can be scary, but I promise it doesn't have to be. And if you have a couple of the right tools to go about it, hopefully, you can do it confidently and be successful. And two, you can do it and you can be successful. Many participants, including Justine, who's here with us today, have fundraised to support all or some of their costs for the Summer Institute. And three, I promise your network and even strangers, yes, will want to support you in the great work you'll be doing. And we're hopefully, again, going to give you some tools to be able to make that happen. So kind of where I wanted to start, we've got a little brain here in the corner, is a little bit of a mindset shift. I know fundraising can be really intimidating, especially for someone who's never done it before. I fundraise every day as my full-time job. That's what I do. And I talk to a lot of people who are hesitant to fundraise, hesitant to make asks. But I think what a really good place to start is knowing what you're doing and what you're not doing. So what you are doing, a couple of things, is participating in a life-changing educational and cultural experience by serving as a volunteer biomedical equipment technician abroad. That is what you will be doing on the Summer Institute, which obviously will be of great benefit to you and your career path and all of that. So in addition to the benefit to you, you'll be doing good. You will be repairing life-saving medical equipment in a hospital that lacks access to resources and supplies to do so, and improving ultimately the quality of care delivered to patients in need, which is a great thing that you should be proud of. So keeping this in mind, you are contributing your own time, your skills and resources to do this important work. And you'll be asking others to join you by helping cover your expenses. That is at the core of it. What the fundraising is, you are contributing significantly to this project, and you're asking others to support you and your efforts to do something good. So I think that's just a really good place to start. And keep in mind, what you aren't doing, and which is what I hear a lot, from people who are not comfortable and not used to fundraising. You're not asking money for nothing in return. Think about, just an example. A time that you've given a donation, whether it's just rounding up your change in line at the grocery store to donate to the local food bank, or given a few dollars to put a few dollars in like a collection bucket. It's important to think about, the fact that you were getting nothing in return even ever cross your mind? No, probably not. And why did you ask? I think there's a couple reasons to look at that I think are important as you go out on your own kind of fundraising endeavor. Why did you ask? Why did you give? Sorry. Oftentimes, if we look at it, at the root of it, why did you give? Well, it's because you were asked. So people can't give if they aren't asked. So you have to be ready to go out and do some asking and do some talking, which I think Justine is also going to talk about, is being ready to talk to people about what you're doing. So people can't give if they aren't asked. And two, why did you give? Sometimes the answer is, and that's okay, is just because it was easy. So, you have to make it easy for people to be able to support you. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Having a platform, having a place a place that people can make a donation or contribute to your fundraiser. You have to make it easy. And then 3, which is a big one, a very, probably maybe the most important, why did you give? Why did you make a donation when you did? Is because it made you feel good. So that is, one message. If you take away just a few things from the info session today, is it makes people feel good to give to causes they care about. So the question then is, how do you get people to care? How do you get people on board to support you in this in this endeavor? So in my opinion, what I think your most important tool is knowing and being able to articulate what you're doing and why you're doing it. So being able to describe the program and its impact clearly and concisely. And I definitely encourage you to explore our website, explore our social media, and feel free to use what you find. Photos, statistics, blurbs. We'll follow up with some specific resources and point you in the direction of where you can find some good language to talk about the program, but being able to tell people what you're doing and the impact that it will have is going to be really important in getting them on board to support your effort. So that's one half of this tool. And the other half is knowing why you want to participate in the Summer Institute, which is also actually a question on the application. So you may have already thought about it a little bit, and is a really important thing to kind of examine. What is your personal mission, your personal motivation? So take those two things together and turn this into your elevator pitch, turn this into your ask. And you will need this regardless of who you're talking to or what fundraising strategies you ultimately decide to use, whether it's a grant application, a scholarship application, whether you're talking to your grandma at Christmas. You're going to need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're going to find that really helpful. Hopefully this just helps give you an idea of laying the groundwork to kind of to be a fundraiser if you've never done it before. So we just got to a short example here, 2 sentences. So the Summer Institute is a study abroad opportunity for engineering students to learn about medical equipment repair in low resource environments, which is completely true. But you could also say the Summer Institute is an opportunity for me to gain hands-on engineering skills while working to repair life-saving medical equipment like oxygen concentrators and infant incubators at a low-resource hospital in Guatemala. Both are completely true, but I think we can probably all agree that one is more impactful. So the second sentence is more specific, and specifics are always good, and it highlights what the program means to both you and the patients at the hospital you'll be working at. So who will ultimately benefit from the program. So you've got this tool now, you kind of, know how you want to talk about the program, where can you kind of employ that tool. One, of course, resource that is available to you is going to be grants and scholarships. We definitely recommend for this one to start early. So if you're thinking about participating in the Summer Institute, you're doing your application, start now looking for grants and scholarships. Search for opportunities specifically for students from your university or your geographic location. A lot of opportunities are going to be geographic restricted or specifically for students from one university. So a lot of this kind of prospecting, what we call in fundraising, is Googling. So, just simply Google Ohio University study abroad scholarships and see what comes up. You might be surprised at what there is available to you. Also recommend reaching out to local community organizations, your Rotary Club, alumni organizations, to see what support they can offer. They might have their own grant and scholarship programs. They also just might have other ideas and where to point you, which can also be helpful. The kind of second piece of advice that I think we would offer is finding out whether or not you can receive course credit or independent study credit for participating in the Summer Institute. That's not always possible. Not all universities are going to want to accept our curriculum for credit, but it is possible, and many students have gotten credit for participation before. So this would involve talking to your academic advisor and your study abroad department, who are also going to be good resources for you. Your study abroad department might also be able to point you to specific grant and scholarship resources for students from your university for study abroad. So again, where this might help is that receiving credit may make you eligible for more grant and scholarship opportunities. Not all of them are going to require that, but some might. So You can check out some specific opportunities and some search engines, some grant scholarship search engines on our website at the URL that you see here under fundraising. So then when grants and scholarships is one thing, but then a lot of you are probably thinking fundraising in a different sense, which we're definitely going to talk about. And I think Justine is going to go into a little bit more detail on some specific platforms to use and ideas to get your creative juices flowing. But just generally, I'd like to offer, starting with your inner circle, talking to your family and friends about your plans is so important. So again, so get your elevator pitch down, and it's going into year end, all the holiday parties and all of that. Talk to everyone about what your plans are for next summer. So they might one, just want to support you, which is wonderful. They might know about resources or other ways that you can fundraise. They might have ideas. They might have groups they can tap into. And again, the holiday season is a great time to get started. So ask for contributions to your travel fund in lieu of other gifts, and have a place where people can learn more. So setting up a website or a page on a crowdfunding platform with details about the program. So your what and your why, with your fundraising goals and what you're doing so far to kind of support, to work towards this goal. So it is definitely good to have all of that in one cohesive place that you can point people to, ideally also where they can make a contribution. So that obviously then also goes into making it easy to give, and always follow up with a thank you. So tracking who's supporting your journey and thanking them. We've also seen a lot of students keep blogs or do email updates throughout their journey from the fundraising process through all the way to then being on the ground in country, and reflecting on their experience as a way to show family and friends what their support has meant to you. So then you've got your inner circle, and then also then thinking about your larger network, what other groups you're part of. Definitely things to consider that we've seen other students kind of tap into our church and religious groups and alumni networks, organizations. And then also local businesses, which again, I think Justine will also highlight in her portion, but local businesses might be willing to donate a portion of proceeds for a night, or donate raffle items for you to use in a fundraising event. And again, Google is a really good resource. You can Google restaurant fundraisers for a list of chain restaurants that do these sorts of events. And then just in general crowdfunding, which I'm going to leave that one to the experts, because I think, again, Justine has that one covered. So without further ado, Justine, take it away.
Thank you, Rachel. Hi, everyone. So my name is Justine Rose, and I was a participant of the EWH Summer Institute in Rwanda in 2019. So I worked pretty hard to essentially raise all the money that I needed to attend the Institute. So I'm just going to share some fundraising tips and tricks and ideas. Some of this will definitely be redundant because Rachel just provided a lot of really, really useful information, but hopefully I can now prove to you that everything she said really does work. So you can go to the next slide. So before we get into the fun stuff, I wanted to start by urging you all to sit down and make a kind of budget sheet, to kind of calculate what your fundraising goal might be. Of course, at the beginning, this might be an estimate, especially if you've maybe applied for the EWH scholarship and you haven't heard back yet. But I was able to pull together some numbers. I think program costs may have changed since I went, probably for good reason. But I did get some estimates from EWH of this is what the program will cost, this is what I'll need for meals and for transportation. And then I kind of thought of other things that might be a cost to me, such as vaccinations. Vaccinations can sometimes be pretty expensive. I was going to Rwanda. I needed to get a yellow fever shot. That cost about $200. So I factored that in. So I tried to kind of think of everything, including some sightseeing. This is a really important experience for you to also, fully immerse yourself in another culture. I wanted to make sure I set aside some money if I wanted to go on an excursion, and we ended up planning a safari day trip that everyone really enjoyed. And so I was glad I had set aside that money. So you want to kind of get an estimate of what you might need, and maybe I would say overestimate costs, not too much, but round up, um, and kind of try to set aside those necessities versus nice to haves, which might be more of like an excursion fund, so that you can say, at least I've gotten to this point. Maybe I have to contribute, more of my own funding towards these other things, etc. Um, it's totally okay to be transparent with this budget too. You don't have to hide that. People want you to have these experiences. People want you to be vaccinated how you need to be. I posted exactly this onto my crowdfunding platform. So I was totally transparent with exactly where the donated money would go to. But you may just want to, for your own knowledge, kind of mark those necessities versus nice to haves. And then just a note post fundraising, which Rachel also kind of mentioned, but I just one more note on creating that budget. From that, you can kind of create, if you want to, specific goals. So say you kind of take a look at, you after today's presentation, you say, okay, I need this amount of money. I think that I can get this much from, my family. I think I'll need to raise $2,000 from a crowdfunding platform. I'm hoping I can get, this amount from other fundraisers. You can use that to then calculate how much you might want to ask for the EWH scholarship. So it's really good to have both a budget sheet and then a goal sheet that kind of lists out your different fundraising methods as well, to kind of have like a target amount of money that you want to raise. And then just post fundraising, just really try to track everyone that donates to you. Obviously, make sure you're thanking everyone. If you do through a crowdfunding site, you typically have people's emails. But if people are donating through any other means, even if you're selling things, right, with the premise of this money is going towards my trip, feel free to leave your email. And after the trip, you can kind of send a big thank you or an email update. When I got back from Rwanda, I BCC'd everyone that had supported me, sent a nice thank you, sent a summary of my trip, shared a couple anecdotes, talked about the impact that we made, and shared some fun photos. And people really, really appreciate this. And it also helps you maintain those connections and relationships in the future. Okay, next slide now. Okay, so fundraising ideas. So I've listed pretty much all of the fundraising methods that I used to raise all of the money I needed, which was almost $10,000. And this was, to be transparent, the first time I really ever had to fundraise for anything. I was so scared and I hated asking for money. But as I went along, I realized that people really do want to give their money to something that they see you excited about and something that is truly a good cause. So anyways, we'll get into the ideas. Easiest way to get funding, scholarship. Definitely apply for the EWH scholarship. You never know what you're going to be granted. This is where having that goal sheet is really helpful, because then you can say, you can even reference that, when you apply for the scholarship of, I think I can provide this, I think I can raise this, but I'm still going to need, $2,000, and just say that. Other scholarship opportunities, like Rachel said, if you are a part of literally anything, any organization, a sorority, a fraternity, religious organization, shoot out an email to that national org, that national office. It's worth a shot. Nothing might come of it. Something might. They might point you in another direction. There's plenty of scholarships online. So Google, it will be your best friend. There's a lot out there that kind of has to do with, sending students to do service projects, exactly what you'll be doing. So definitely do your research there. Next idea, also easy, set up that crowdfunding site. A crowdfunding site is a site like GoFundMe, where you can set up a cause and people can donate to it. Do your research on that. There's plenty out there. GoFundMe is probably the most well-known and the most widely used, but there's a lot of options out there. I kind of did some research and I landed on Fund My Travel. Fund My Travel is really catered to funding for service projects abroad. So exactly what the Summer Institute is, but there's a lot out there. So, do your research, check what the processing fees are, if it's easy to set up. Some platforms don't support donations in certain countries. So if you're located elsewhere, just make sure it supports your country. How long will it take to receive your funds, things like that. Just do your research. I landed on Fund My Travel. I linked it here, but I don't think you could, I don't know why I did that because you can't click on this presentation. So I can have, maybe in some notes or something, we can send out my site, or I can put it in the chat after this so that you can see. But basically, I really liked the UI and the platform of Fund My Travel. I was able to literally put that kind of what this money is going to budget sheet that I had in the other slide. I had that on there. And then I just wrote up, about me, about the trip, about EWH. And once you have that site set up, it's, just share it on all your platforms, share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, email it to your grandma. If she doesn't have social media, whatever, just have that available. And, you're going to see the money come in if you've taken the time to obviously set up and explain what the money is going towards. Next idea, also mentioned before, fundraising events such as a restaurant fundraiser. Just go around to local restaurants or even chain restaurants, or Google what restaurants will do this. I did Five Guys. Usually they block off like an amount of time. So Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Anyone who comes in, you get a % of the profits. Everyone needs to eat, right? So tell all your friends, come get dinner at Five Guys that night, and you get a percentage of the profits. It's super easy. You can do multiple of these. Restaurants do this all the time, so it's really a good method for getting a couple $100. All right, next slide. Okay. Another method that I used is selling a good that was unique and specific to me and creative. So I actually sold t-shirts. I'm wearing it right now, but I realize my lighting is pretty bad. But there's a picture of it here. So I worked with this company called Fund the Nations, and they actually helped me design this t-shirt. And then they have really good deals on purchasing goods in bulk so that you can maximize your profits. I think based on how many I sold, I was purchasing for them for a couple bucks each. I might be wrong about that, but very, very cheap, because it's for this purpose. You tell them about your cause, etc. You work with them. So I had told them I'm no graphic designer, but I said I wanted to have something that combines who I am and then what I'm going to do. I love bears. They're my favorite animal. I have a bear tattoo that kind of looks like that on the back of my arm. So I wanted a bear, and then I wanted something that represented Rwanda. I saw that the panther is the animal of Rwanda, and then I had the Rwandan flag colors as well as the country outline in the background. Worked with a really, really nice woman at Fund the Nations. She designed this. I absolutely loved it. I was able to kind of get some estimates on how many people would buy, order in bulk for a couple bucks each. And I made probably around $600, $700 selling these. People loved them. I think they loved that the graphic design kind of sparked a conversation. It doesn't like say any words. So people ask what that means. And then they would tell their friends about me, and then I would get questions and I would sell more t-shirts, etc. Post it on your social media. You obviously don't have to sell t-shirts. It's just one idea. Sell hats, sell mugs, or sell stuff you own. This is just something that's a little bit more kind of creative and involved. But I would also say I was moving at the time. So I was doing a big, deep spring cleaning of my apartment. If you're getting rid of, cleaning out your closet, whatever, putting stuff on Facebook Marketplace, put a blurb that you're selling this, but the money is going to this really cool trip that you're doing. People might, give you more for that old t-shirt that they would have. previously. So those are kind of the main, those are the main fundraising methods that I used. But I would also say talk to everyone. Rachel literally gave you the perfect verbiage earlier, so just memorize that or come up with something and just be ready to talk about what you're doing, show your excitement. I used to bartend in college. On a slower night, if I'm at the bar talking to customers, people ask, "Oh, are you a student?" I would tell them what I was doing. I would tell them about EWH. I I can't tell you the amount of times that I would get sent, a check or a Venmo or have somebody go on my crowdfunding site from me just literally talking to them at my job. I don't know. Is that illegal? I don't think so. I think it's fine. But just talk to people. People really, really, love seeing somebody excited about a cause, especially a student. And so just be ready to answer questions and link to your site. So yeah, those are basically the main methods that worked for me. But there's so many others out there. Be creative, Google, have fun with it. And lastly, just want to say that I had a really, really awesome experience in Rwanda. So if anyone has any questions for me and wants to chat about the program, whether related to fundraising or even just general questions, I'm happy to chat, and I can put my email in the chat too. Yeah, thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justine. We're happy to take questions for us, for me, for Susan, for Justine. If anybody has them, feel free to unmute and chat with us. We're going to stop the recording. Or feel free to put your questions in the chat. And like I said, we're happy to answer them.